Hi, friends, and welcome back. We are at day number 11 of the Ugly Art Club's 5-minute challenge. The prompt today is worn. When I think of this, I thought of like a piece of clothing that is kind of worn down, and I kind of thought about it being tattered. Now, this spread does not go where I originally had in my head that it would go. I was thinking of kind of somehow tearing a piece of fabric and having like the holes of it being seen. I like how this spread turns out, but I think it's just a prime example of it doesn't always go how we originally think it might in our heads. So I am taking the influence of the label, the prompt that I'm using for today of that purple, and I just decided to use those colors today in this spread. So I started out by messily applying some paint with my palette knife, and not in a too particular way, but rather just spreading it randomly on the page. Now I am collecting a few collage fodder bits, thinking about what I can do. I know I want to build up some layers. One of my favorite ways to do that is to add in some collage elements. I like to do different collage elements that are kind of clustered together in a group, and I'm okay with covering up what's already in the background. That's part of why I applied the paint in such a messy way, is I just wanted to get something down that would provide a layer. So what creates the most interesting art in my mind is having those dimensional layers where maybe you look at the end product and you're not even sure how somebody did that, because all of the layers kind of play together into creating one visual effect in the end. It takes some practice for sure to be comfortable enough to cover up what you've already done before. This is still something that I have to practice, because a lot of times things can look just one dimensional, and then we look at the project and we wonder why it doesn't have that elevated feel to it. And I think it's because we can be scared to cover up what we've already previously done. I'm adding in some Stabilo pencil. I'm going to add a few little grungy layers by doing this. I think that this is a nice way to kind of get those layers to blend together and kind of ebb and flow with having that translucent grungy effect. Hit that with the heat gun a little bit before I do anything else. And you can see I cut out the video there. I ended up spending a minute or two searching for a specific stencil and I could not find it. It's that piece of collage that I used down at the bottom that had those black circles. That's actually a stencil that I had created, and I wanted to bring those marks up into the top, but in the end I just could not find that stencil and my timer was still running. I did not stop it. So you'll see that my timer ends a little bit earlier than the actual 5 minutes, but I go beyond it anyway. So now I am taking some of that fabric and ripping it, and again, it didn't quite turn out how I was thinking. I really wanted things to be really tattered, and I just didn't get there, and especially within that 5-minute time frame. But that's okay. I enjoy the way that this ended up turning out, and it was a good lesson for me to stay flexible, and not everything will end up going the way that we need it to. I find that there are two solutions when we come across a crossroads like that. Either we continue to work at it and solve the problem, which I enjoy doing. I enjoy finding creative ways to come up with what I have pictured in my head and make it a reality. The other way is to move on. Think about something else. How can we take what we have on the paper or on our project and adapt it to how things are going now? Sometimes the ideas that we have in our heads don't actually come to fruition, and that can be okay. Especially in a timed setting like this, it's a little difficult to problem solve and to come up with a new idea. So, to be able to learn to adapt and move on, I think that's a skill like anything else. It does not always come naturally, and it's just something that we need to work at and practice. So I decided to bunch up those fabrics and have them kind of stick out behind the label. I would have been really fun to stitch those down, but I was already running so low on time that I decided just to staple them down. It was a quick and easy fix to get them attached to the paper. The circle there just looked a little too perfect in my mind. Um, Again, I never like things to just look like they're plopped on top as an afterthought. And so I thought just by tearing that label, it kind of makes it blend more into what was already going on. Gluing this down in its spot now, using a bit of glue with that fabric piece. You can definitely switch to a different kind of glue, fabric tack or something like that. But often I just use whatever is out on my desk at the time. And I want to blend that edge a little bit more into what I had done. So I just took my Stabilo pencil and did few little scratchy marks on the bottom of that label prompt. And I feel like this page definitely is more, scraggly or messy than some of my other pages, but I like that it kind of goes into that worn and tattered prompt that I had in my head at the beginning. I knew I still wanted those black circles somewhere at the top. I just really felt like they would bring the piece together by having some on the bottom half and some on the top half as well. And since I couldn't find that stencil to do those marks directly onto the page, I just used some of the same collage fodder paper that I had already used on the bottom. I wanted to give the page a few little highlights, and I did this by doing some art marks in a white color. I feel like this just brightens up the page a little bit. And one of my favorite things to do for art marks is to do white art marks in an opaque black area. I just think that they really stand out from the background then. All right, and there we have it. If you have questions about the supplies that I use, make sure to check the description down below. Sometimes I miss listing something, so just ask me in the comments. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's spread, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow for day number 12. See you next time. Have a good one.